Okay, well, thanks for coming out. What you just heard was a piece that's part of the bonus material on the CD package. That's Bill Gorman doing a dramatic reading of it's kind of like an audio book that's included at the end of it. It kind of has the whole story. Something you could put on for your 8th grade social studies group and then go take a break and then come back and test them on it, you know, that kind of a thing. But it's got music behind it that the band had put together for it, so it was really nice. The Sultana is not a happy story. And why do we know about the Titanic? That's not a happy story. But yet, not the Sultana. Well, as the program showed you, there was a lot going on at that time when the Sultana went down. And, you know, yeah, more people lost, more loss of life than the Titanic. But yet we don't celebrate it, you know. It's like we know about John Wilkes Booth, we know the end of the war, we know this. This should be part of our history. And it's kind of an interesting story from the standpoint that regular Joes were getting released from prison, Union soldiers, and they sent them up north on their way to, St. Louis. And on the way, the ship explodes. The Mississippi River is in April flood stages, so there's quite a current. And it was in the middle of the night when they were sleeping, so it took them by surprise, and it blew them all over the place. So there wasn't a lot of survivors. But there were some. There were some survivors. There's, in the end, maybe 250 to 300 survived out of maybe 2,500. And one of the survivors was named Chester Berry. Crazy-looking guy. I got a book by him. He put it out in the late 1800s. And he had the clarity of mind to go out and collect any survivor's story that he could find. And he's got a book that he put out, and everyone from the engineer on the ship, to just some Joe who paid a fare and got on board. And I'll tell you what, it's quite a story. It's a story that when I came to this, I never went out to said, okay, I'm going to write a Civil War story. I'm going to, investigate a Titanic. No idea. I was in the studio one night with a client, and they left my guitar sitting out, and it was tuned kind of low. So after he left, I put it away, and I started noodling around on it. And it was kind of a sea shanty feel to it. And so I'm sitting there, musician, playing around, sounded good. And I started free associating some lyrics. Just out of the blue. I often do that. I would never want people to hear them, except me, of course. But it was burn down the wheel, burn down the riverboat, and it went with this kind of a sea shanty guitar thing that I was doing. So I recorded it on my phone, and I said, well, maybe I could use it later. Who knows? It's like writing down on paper for me. So a couple weeks later, I went back to it, and I thought it was pretty cool, and I should write a song about a boat that burned down. So I went to the internet, and I type in, boat, burned down, river boats, that kind of thing. Well, I find out that a lot of them burned down because they didn't know really how to manage the boilers, things of that nature. They were going from wood to coal, and burnt. It was a mess. So this site, Riverboat Dave's. Riverboat Dave's, he's got every riverboat on the Mississippi and anything in North America. He's on his site. I don't know what he does, but he's got them collected alphabetically by where their port was, and when they finally blew up, how many died. So I'm reading down through, and there's 7, 8, 5, I'm trying to get a story out of one of these that burned down. Then I get to the Sultana, and this is like 1575. I'm like, well, old Riverboat Dave probably made a typo on his blog site there, so I said, I better check it out anyway. So I go over to Wikipedia, and I plug in the Sultana. And it comes up a lot of different things. It means, like a sultan's woman, so you get all those kind of things. But the Sultana, well, they had it listed as SS Sultana, like a steamship Sultana, something like that. So I start reading this page, and it was like a movie script. But yet, a movie we never heard of. It's like, how is that possible? This is a history thing, happened at this crucial time of our country's crossroads where we're getting our freedom, the war's over, all these things are happening. So the more I read, the more I got interested in it, and I ended up being able to finish that song. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, I wrote a song about a boat, you know, mission accomplished. But I kept reading on the story. I bought a book, go online, and this continued on until I read all the books and, you know, surfed to the end of the internet. And over the course of a few years, I was able to put together some songs that kind of chronicles their last 3 days and tells their story and maybe brings some awareness to the event that seems to be a forgotten story in our history. I mean, yeah, it's great to celebrate the rich and famous doing this thing across, you know, how fast they can get from Europe to here, but these guys gave their lives for the country, and, you know, hey, they could get their due too. So, but I would encourage you all, if possible, to take a look at it yourself if you get a chance. Next time you're on the computer, I think it'll have the same effect on you. I think it'll draw you in, because it happens all the time. Every time I run into somebody, one of the 60 musicians that have played on this record, most of them now know what the Sultana is. And they come back to me. I'll see them at the mall or someplace, who knows where. You know, I go to the mall so much. And they'll say, Jeff, I read on that Sultana. I kind of got hooked on it. And, you know, I bought that one book. And I'm like, there you go. Tell your friends. So, anyways, I hope you enjoy the story. It's not a happy story, but there's a lot of human perseverance in it. There is, because of these first-hand accounts that Chester Berry was able to put together. It's very compelling in a lot of ways. And so I hope you enjoy that, you know, and looking into that and maybe listening to some of the music. And tonight we're just going to play a few songs, selections from it tonight. And we've got a wonderful Fair Winds Woodwind Quintet. Did I say that right? Fair Winds Quintet, okay. And you're in for a treat. It's going to be fun. It's not going to take very long, so you'll be out of here before you know it. Okay, where's the band? Okay, there they are. Mr. Rick Accavelli on the Silvertone chord organ and the guitar. I have young Sean Kanazowicz on the drum kit this evening. From Whitney Point, New York, Mr. Scott Harrington on the upright bass.